Daniel Goodrich, the Superstitious Engineer. Daniel Goodrich, the Superstitious Engineer.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Neurologists tell us that the left hemisphere of the brain, which controls the right side of the body, tends to dominate in reasoning and logic. I consider myself a left-brain person. After all, I throw, bat, dribble, primarily right-handed. In addition to this, I'm a typical engineer. I love math and science. I tend to shun things like intuition and psychic phenomena. If I can see it, I can believe it. To me, empiricism and logic, these are my friends. The right hemisphere of the brain, which controls the left-hand side of the body, tends toward the creative, the emotional. I write left-handed, I draw left-handed, and I eat left-handed. And when I play soccer, I primarily kick left-footed. Neurologists would say that I lack lateral dominance. I think I'm just one mixed-up dude. Mark Twain wrote, "When we remember that we are all crazy mad, the mysteries of life disappear, and life stands explained." Though I am normally logical and straightforward in my thinking and actions, there are a few quirks in my personality that make me what I call a superstitious engineer. Perhaps you can relate to some of these qualities. First, many years ago I joked to my wife, if I'm ever abducted in my car and forced to drive a long distance, when I stop at a gas station, the signal I'll send to you that something is wrong is I will put an odd amount of money of gas in my car. In the thousands of times I've been to the gas station since then, I have to put an amount of gas in that is divisible by a nickel. I get to $23.46. I pump the gas a little more, $23.48. Oh, $23.51. I have to keep going. $23.53. $23.55. Finally. And I never get gas in Oregon because God only knows what the gas attendant will be. Secondly, when I was in my 30s, I realized that I had spent at least a part of Christmas Day with my parents every year. Well, up to that point, it wasn't too difficult to do this because I lived in the same town, and then when they moved a couple hours away, it was only a 2-hour drive. Well, I left the ever brown state of Arizona in 2010 to come to this, the evergreen state. Not a problem. I told my wife, let's plan a trip. We'll fly back down to Phoenix and I'll see my folks. It turns out that it's a lot cheaper to fly on Christmas Day. We were scheduled to arrive around 6 p.m. in Phoenix. No problem. Pick our son up and head straight up to Prescott, Arizona and see them. I'd be there in plenty of time. My son ended up working late that day. Then he forgot some things, so we had to drive to his apartment. Then he was hungry, so we took him to a fast food restaurant, which was not so fast because a robbery had occurred minutes before we arrived. We did not leave Phoenix until 9:30 p.m. I don't remember much about that drive, other than constantly looking at the clock. At 11:45 p.m., I pulled into my parents' driveway. I left my wife and son in the car, left my baggage in the car, let myself into the house. And I thought, is the world going to come to an end if I don't spend time with my parents this year? I have this long streak. I walked into their dark bedroom where my parents were sleeping, and I gently placed my hand on my mother's shoulder, and I breathed a sigh of relief. The world will not come to an end. Isn't that crazy? Superstitious? Turns out I did not visit them in 2012, so both I and the Mayans were incorrect about the end of the world. Finally, I get up earlier than my wife does, and typically I am out the door on my way to the office before she gets up. So the way we like to communicate with each other in the morning is we take Post-it notes and we put them on the bathroom mirror. So she will write something like, "Have a great day, honey," or "I cannot wait till we go out to the movies tonight." Today she left one that said, "Break a leg, I love you, Cindy." I started the habit of putting that piece of paper in my pocket when I go to work. And I found that my day was better when I had one of those pieces of paper here next to me than when I didn't. And as the day would go on, I would absentmindedly place my hand in my pocket. And I believed, I felt it, that my day would be better. Is this logical? No. Is it wonderful and beautiful? Yes. Someone once wrote, "Life is a gift. I accept it. Life is an adventure. I dare it. Life is a mystery. I am unfolding it." It is true that life is filled with contradictions, anomalies, mysteries. We all have these quirks, but to me, that is what makes us more interesting people. I conclude by quoting Mr. Spock of Star Trek, the greatest logical mind ever to grace the television and movie screen. Life is fascinating.